When reading Prince Harry's witness statement, I couldn't help but think that this was bigger than a typical cyberstalking case, which is bad enough. And I do think that it is a cyberstalking case, but I think there's something bigger going on as well. I really couldn't quite put my finger on it, but he kept talking about democracies and government, and something didn't sit right with me and decided to follow my gut and do what I do best, which is research, and I don't like what I found. In my last video, I was talking about Sarah Sands and how she had written some abhorrent articles about Princess Diana after her death, where Princess Diana couldn't even defend herself. We need to go through one more of her articles before we get to the part that really disturbed me. This article is titled Prince Harry Spare and a New Reckoning Between the Press and the Royals. Now we are one paragraph in, and then we get to the race thing. So she says there was a softening of the most damaging accusation to emerge from the Duke and Duchess of Sussex 2021 Oprah Winfrey interview. Meghan Markle's assertion that there had been concerns and conversations about the color of their son's skin. Prince Harry said the royal family was not racist after all. It was, he said, the British press that had stirred this up. If he is mellowing towards his family, his war against the British press is increasingly kinetic. I think Prince Harry did say that the royal family had some issues with race and mentioned their unconscious bias. She goes on to admit that Prince Harry loathes the tabloids and says that everybody would be better off if they left each other alone. So why aren't the British tabloids leaving Harry and Meghan alone? She goes on to say more things about Princess Diana and her brother Charles Spencer. And then you can see this here. Harry and Meghan may be obsessed by media coverage, but if they desire to control it, they are doomed to be disappointed. Then she mentions that a truce had been negotiated and had held pretty well until now. I don't ever remember Prince Harry saying that there was a truce between him and the media, and I think the pictures in the tabloids throughout the years speak for themselves. You can pause to read this if you want. There's not a whole lot there. I'll move my head. Sarah Sands goes on to say that Prince Harry asks for transparency so that information comes from his own lips rather than being crafted by public relations people, which she did say. And she also references how Princess Diana did the same thing with her book through Andrew Morton. Personally, I would rather hear what's going on from people in their own words rather than PR people or courtiers who don't know what they're talking about. She goes on to talk about Meghan, and then we have this lovely quote. As for the allegation that his stepmother was the arch manipulator of the press, that is poignantly unfair. For many years, she had a terrible time with the media. Give me a break. That woman made so many people's life a living hell, including Diana, including Princess Anne, including Queen Elizabeth, including William and Harry, and probably a whole bunch of other people I don't even know about. She goes on to say, clearly Markle misunderstood what she was marrying into. The protocols of monarchy, including public silence and hierarchy, were ridiculous to her. I'm related to these people, and I would misunderstand the protocols because they seem to change day to day based on which royal expert wants to change them to fit their current narrative. If I remember correctly, Camilla has walked in front of Charles, and that's a big no-no in terms of royal protocol, but no one talked about that. She goes on to say more about Harry and Meghan, but then this part got me. He tries to separate his family, whom he is perhaps willing to forgive, from the institution of which they are all prisoners. The protocols must sometimes be infuriating, but it is the institution which matters. If we strip the royal family of the symbolism of monarchy, we would soon tire of them. Our constitutional monarchy exists by public consent. It needs and has to be reported on, but if we let too much daylight in, we lose the mystery and appeal. Well, Sarah, here's some mystery for you. I can think of a few different ways that Charles isn't the rightful heir to the throne, one of which has to do with Richard III's DNA. And then she has to try to name drop Queen Elizabeth, who loved Prince Harry and supported what he was doing with the media. So I'm done with Sarah Sands, so let's talk about why I mentioned her in the first place. In my last video, I said that Sarah Sands currently works at Hawthorne Advisors and showed you her profile. Well, here we have Ben Elliott, who's the co-founder of Hawthorne Advisors, who happens to be Camilla's nephew. What are the odds? Here's Ben's bio from Hawthorne Advisors, and in a previous video, I talked about how a tabloid referred to him as Prince Harry's cousin instead of Camilla's nephew in order to make him look more charitable with this group quintessentially, which is very problematic and we will get into. He also served as the chairman of the Conservative Party between 2019 and 2022, and that's something we need to discuss as well. Here's just a tiny sneak peek of what I found. Don't be suspicious at all.